That jar of coffee sitting in your kitchen cupboard right now might be one of the 8 brands we are about to expose. And what the big supermarkets do not want you to know could genuinely shock you. If you care about what you are paying for, what you are actually drinking, and whether you are being taken for a ride every single week, then hit that subscribe button for Retail Alert UK right now, because this is the investigation every British shopper needs to see. We have spent weeks digging through consumer reports, recall notices, trading standards data, and hundreds of customer complaints to bring you the truth about UK coffee brands. And trust me, by the end of this video, you will never look at the coffee aisle the same way again. You probably think that buying a well-known brand means you are getting quality, but the reality is far more complicated and far more frustrating than most shoppers ever realise. Some of these brands have faced documented recalls. Others have quietly downgraded their recipes while keeping prices exactly the same. A few are using packaging tricks that would make a magician blush. And one of them, the brand sitting at number 1 on our list, is doing something so sneaky that when we reveal it, you are going to want to check your own cupboard immediately. Let us start with number 8 on our countdown, and this one involves a pricing scandal that has been hiding in plain sight on supermarket shelves across the entire country. You think you are getting a bargain when you see that big yellow price tag screaming special offer, but consumer investigations have repeatedly shown that certain coffee brands inflate their so-called original price for weeks before a promotion, just so the discount looks more impressive than it actually is. One budget instant coffee brand was documented charging £3.49 for months at a handful of smaller retailers. Then suddenly, their compare-it price became £4.99 at major supermarkets during a promotional period. That small print reveals the true cost, and once you start comparing properly, you will spot the fake deals instantly. But misleading pricing is just the beginning, because what we found at number 7 is even more troubling. Number 7 takes us into the murky world of made-for-outlet products. And if you have ever grabbed coffee from a discount store thinking you were getting the same quality at a lower price, you need to hear this. Consumer watchdog reports have revealed that certain brands produce entirely separate product lines for discount retailers, and these are not the same recipes you would find in mainstream supermarkets. The packaging looks almost identical. The branding is the same. But when you examine the ingredients panel closely, you notice differences. Lower percentages of actual coffee solids, different source origins, altered roasting processes. One popular instant coffee brand sold in discount chains was found in a customer investigation to contain a higher proportion of Robusta beans compared to their standard supermarket version, which used a more expensive Arabica blend. You think you are getting the same coffee cheaper, but you are actually getting a cheaper coffee at a cheaper price, which is not the same thing at all. What can you do right now? Compare the batch codes and ingredient lists between discount store versions and supermarket versions before assuming they are identical. The truth is often printed right there on the back of the jar if you know where to look. Now, number 7 was frustrating, but number 6 enters genuinely concerning territory. At number 6, we need to talk about recalls and allergen risks, because this is where the coffee industry's problems stop being about your wallet and start being about your health. Over the past 3 years, multiple coffee products sold in UK supermarkets have been subject to Food Standards Agency recall notices due to undeclared allergens, contamination concerns, and labelling errors. One case involved a flavoured instant coffee that failed to properly declare milk-derived ingredients, putting lactose-intolerant consumers and those with dairy allergies at genuine risk. Another incident saw a batch of ground coffee recalled after concerns about foreign object contamination during the manufacturing process. These recalls happen more often than you might think, but unless you actively check the FSA website or happen to see a small notice tucked away in the corner of a shop, you would never know. Here is what you need to do. And speaking of things the industry hopes you never check, wait until you hear what we uncovered at number 5. Number 5 reveals a storage and freshness scandal that affects almost every supermarket in Britain, and it explains why your coffee sometimes tastes flat, stale, or just wrong. You think that expiry date on the jar guarantees freshness, but documented cases show that certain coffee products have spent months sitting in warm warehouses, delivery vehicles without climate control, and stock rooms with inconsistent temperatures before ever reaching the shelf. Coffee is incredibly sensitive to heat and light exposure, and degradation begins long before that best before date arrives. Customer complaints gathered from online reviews and consumer forums repeatedly mention the same brands tasting noticeably different from jar to jar, with some batches described as cardboard-like or completely flavourless. One shopper documented purchasing the same instant coffee brand from 3 different supermarkets in 1 week, and the taste varied dramatically each time despite identical expiry dates. Those few seconds of effort make a genuine difference. But if you think storage issues are bad, number 4 is going to make you reconsider how you pay for your coffee entirely. Number 4 exposes something that has nothing to do with the coffee itself, and everything to do with your personal data and payment security. You think loyalty cards and coffee subscription apps are just convenient ways to earn rewards, but consumer privacy investigations have raised serious questions about how your purchasing data is being collected, stored, and potentially shared with third parties. One major coffee brand's subscription service faced customer complaints after users discovered their purchase history was being used to build detailed consumer profiles that could be sold to marketing partners. Another loyalty scheme was criticized for storing payment details in ways that cybersecurity experts described as concerning. The data you hand over in exchange for a free coffee after every 10th purchase might be worth far more than that single drink. What can you do? Read the privacy policy before signing up for any coffee subscription or loyalty scheme. Use virtual card numbers if your bank offers them. Because here is the thing, the industry banks on you never reading those terms and conditions, which connects directly to the disturbing discovery we made at number 3. Number 3 uncovers the hidden fees and store policies that supermarkets use to squeeze extra profit from coffee buyers without most shoppers ever noticing. You think that multi-pack deal is saving you money, but trading standards guidance has repeatedly highlighted how some retailers structure their offers in ways that penalize shoppers who do not meet exact purchase thresholds. Buy 2 and save sounds great, until you realize the single jar price was artificially inflated, specifically to push you towards buying more than you need. Customer complaints have documented cases where shoppers attempted to price match coffee products between supermarkets, only to discover that technically different variants, perhaps 100-gram size differences or marginally altered product codes, made their perfectly reasonable request invalid under store policy. One documented complaint involved a shopper who tried to return an unopened coffee jar after discovering a recipe change had made the product taste completely different, only to be told that opened or not, food items were non-refundable despite the product being fundamentally different from what they had previously purchased. Your action is clear. Know your consumer rights under UK law. If a product is not as described, you have grounds for complaint regardless of what the store policy claims. Speaking of things that are not as they seem, number 2 reveals a recipe scandal that has been happening right under our noses. Number 2 is shrinkflation and ingredient swap territory, and this is where the biggest names in UK coffee have been caught red-handed. You think you are buying the same coffee you have enjoyed for years, but publicly available data from consumer organizations shows that multiple major brands have quietly altered their recipes, reduced jar sizes, or substituted cheaper ingredients while maintaining identical pricing, or even increasing costs. One beloved British instant coffee brand reduced their standard jar size by 15 grams while the price stayed exactly the same. Another switched a percentage of their premium Arabica beans for cheaper Robusta without any announcement, burying the change in the small print of their ingredients panel. The taste profile changed, the quality dipped, but the nostalgic branding and familiar packaging kept loyal customers buying without question. Customer complaints on forums and social media tell the same story over and over. This does not taste like it used to. Something has changed. And they are absolutely right, something has changed, but the brands were banking on nobody noticing. Here is your action step. You will be stunned at how often things quietly shift,